Hello, this is From Concept to Launch. This project follows Sophia Nicholas, the founder and CEO of Sophie PR, through the process of opening a cannabis business. We are joined by Ali Bianco, the founder and CEO of Pink's Products and a business consultant. She is mentoring Sophia through this process. And today we also have Judith Dyer with us. Judith Dyer brings 20 years of experience in financial management, comprehensive financial reporting, and financial planning to the cannabis industry. Her areas of expertise include cash flow management, cost analysis, and treasury activities. Judith is a DOPE CFO certified advisor. She works with cannabis companies to navigate 280E and meet cannabis accounting requirements to ensure clients' businesses maintain financial health and stability. So, Judith, we're in the planning stages of Sophia's business plan for her new cannabis business in New York.
hmm
So, what are the things an entrepreneur needs to know when they're first getting started with that business development plan and moving forward?
I think before even entering the industry, I think that all entrepreneurs should understand the space that they're trying to enter into. Cannabis is a heavily regulated and comes with high compliance costs. So every stage of the supply chain has a set of rules that you need to make sure that you're adhering to. Otherwise, it becomes very costly if you're caught. So that's from your seed to sale, your security system, surveillance, storage, and etc. Like there's a comprehensive set of rules that you need to abide by. You also need to be aware of the banking limitations due to the illegality at the federal level. Many cannabis companies operate without traditional banking, and this leads to a high risk cash handling and costly merchant services and challenges in securing lines of credit. So you are relying more on investors for cash inflows, or there's a much higher borrowing rate for cannabis businesses. And then there's also the tax challenges that comes along with 280E, which most of you may be familiar with. We are fighting still to have cannabis rescheduled, but preferably descheduled. So that would go away. But what it means is that any plant touching business is not allowed to deduct ordinary business expenses, which means that you will be taxed on your gross profit versus your net income. And the difference between the two is that revenue minus your cost of goods sold is your gross profit. And then your gross profit less your operating expenses gives you your net income. And your operating expenses are all the necessary ordinary business expenses like payroll, rent, security, etc. That is needed for you to actually run your business. And that whole category is disallowed under 280E. So if you don't properly plan for your taxes, this could definitely kill your business. And then you need to acknowledge the difference between the state and the federal laws. As I mentioned before, 280E is a federal law, that on the state level, all of the laws are different. So it's not one set of rules for every state. So what may work in one state, you have to now understand the market that you're crossing over into because it may not apply to that state. So before even jumping in, I suggest businesses to make sure that they have an understanding of all of that before taking your whole life savings and then um, failing, in essence.
Right. Yeah. Oh, sorry.
Uh,
So
So, no, I was just curious. What, so you did mention investors. What are, so when it comes to numbers,
Mm-hmm.
and spreadsheets. What do investors want to see on the spreadsheet you're going to present them with?
So that if you're looking to raise capital, then you need to make sure that you have a pitch deck, right? And a part of the pitch deck is going to be your financial model. That's what those CFO, we help you to work on the financial projection part of the pitch deck. The pitch deck is inclusive of who you are as your brand, your company, what you stand for, your business model plan, like what have you done so far, where you are, how much you need. Let's not forget that, and what are you going to give the investors in return if they were to invest in you? So you need to think all of that through. And then the financial model is going to give them the value, right? Like, okay, this is what we have, or this is what we need. And with this investment, this is what we're going to do. And this is how long we expect before we're able to turn a profit. And this is how much you're going to get. But it also depends on the type of investment that you're looking for. Because if it's a debt, that's just a loan that you're going to have to pay back, right? So they're not really concerned so much on the return, more of you're going to pay them back their money. So they're more concerned with it from the collateral, like what is this going to be worth in case you can't pay me back my money? What am I going to get in return for that, right? But if you're looking at it from someone trying to get ownership, and so they're going to get a share of future profits going forward. Then you want to have an idea of how much of your control are you willing to give away, and what is that. But in doing that, you want to be realistic with your value of your company, right? Because you might think you have $1 million company, or you might be asking for $1 million, and you're in. Well, let me bring it down a little bit. So let's say you're asking for 250,000, and you're willing to give up 25%. You're saying that your business is worth $1 million. Your financials should prove that you're worth $1 million, right? And that's in terms of assets, money in the bank and whatnot, right? It can't just be like this is my business idea and it's going to make millions. Investors want to see actual numbers, and they want to see that you're you yourself have invested in your business as well.
Yeah, I to add to that a little bit, sorry, I just wanted to say something, but
Mhm.
with the market being so new, this industry, I mean, it's been legal for a little over a decade now nationally, and I'm talking like Colorado to here. So it is something that's a little challenging is trying, especially in like a state like New York that just got licensed in 2021. It's a little challenging to show investors just like, like just background of like sales and like, because a lot of stuff was black market, a lot of stuff.
Mhm.
And back then we didn't have record of anything. We were actually
You
told
didn't
not
keep
to have.
records because you didn't want to get arrested.
So, you're coming from like, we're all just like entering this business world. So, this industry is filled with a bunch of investors that have been in, accounting, that's been on Wall Street, that's been in like, they handle accounts from all over. So, they want to see everything on paper. They want to see like predictions. They want to see sales. They want to see reports. They want to see ROIs from other companies. And sometimes that's a little difficult to pull out of your asshole. Not going to
Mhm.
lie. Excuse
Right.
the French. But let's be honest, in this industry, it's so
But
new.
you're not supposed to pull it out your asshole.
Yeah,
Like
you're not supposed to. You're right. You're
you're
right.
supposed,
Sorry.
like, but the reality is that financial model is just my best guess, but it's supported with factual data, right? So you have, like, we have enough of a market where you can do the research, right? Like you can
Yes.
see. So it's not like you're just starting out. And the problem is that because it's such a heavily regulated market, and the taxes is, what it is, um, it's hard for cannabis businesses to truly be profitable. And legacy, you're not used to paying all of the operating expenses that it takes, right? Like you re-up, you distribute, whatever, right? It's a cash. You're not paying for operations and accounting and bookkeeping and lawyers
Packaging, yes,
and
bookkeeping,
packaging and,
all of
and, and
that.
all of this
Yes.
shit, right? So it's really embracing that you are trying to build out a business in one of the most heavily regulated markets, right? Like, if you don't want this, don't come to cannabis, because it's not the same legacy cannabis market, right? If you're moving
It's
into
not
the
as
legal market, you have to know that there's a lot of rules and regulations, and not to mention they're still figuring it out. So there's a lot of unknown. So what's good today may not be good tomorrow, right? So
we're
you
still building the plane as we fly it. You're so correct on that. I'm sorry to interrupt you. You're
no,
getting
you're
me so
absolutely
excited.
that's the best analogy, right? Or the road is still being built. Like, they're laying the bricks as we're going down the path. And so it's like it's a lot of risk. The reward is can be very profitable, but you also have to understand, just like as more like as a dispensary, like you can have an amazing year this year, but then within next year, two more dispensaries open up, right? Within your, that's going to take away your sales, right? So you may have done a great this year, but because the market is still, you have to kind of plan for that, right? And so it's
Yes.
not just the it's not it's the what's the analysis called? Jesus Christ. The SWOT analysis, right? Like, you got to look at the SWOT, the what's your strengths, what's your weaknesses, what's your opportunities, and what's your threats. You have to look at that as a whole to build out like a real picture. And if you're not looking at it from all of those, like what, like no one would have planned for COVID, right? No one ever would have saw like
Right.
a whole shutdown. But now we have those kind of contingency plans in place. Like, there's remote work that, people figured out ways to keep the businesses going, but you have to kind of think of the unknown, especially in cannabis, because there are still a lot of unknowns, because you don't know what's going to come. Here comes one. Do not come on this camera. I'm sorry. Do not come on the camera. Yes, baby. Okay, so watch you in your room until I'm finished, okay? Alrighty. Sorry.
No,
Mommy.
mother of boss. I love you. I love this energy. This is why we make pinks, by the way. And
Literally.
this is why we're making Sophie's Choice for women, for mothers, for bosses that balance it all. I mean, Women's Cannabis Chamber. This is why we're all here. I love that. I actually love
The job that never ends. Okay.
it.
Yeah.
For real.
And so yeah, so you want to know the unknown, because like you are walking into an unknown, and that is why it pays to surround yourself with strategic partners that can help you think outside the box, right? Like,
Absolutely.
there's a lot of there's your strengths, and then there's what the business needs. You can't do it all.
You make sure your structure is safe enough to receive the blessings that God will give you for your beautiful idea. Because
Yes.
also another thing with the industry and why it's difficult, especially when it comes to finances, is a lot of national banks. It was really difficult, even especially 10 years ago. Now they are a little bit more lenient, but it's not as lenient as you want it to be. They are still very like on cannabis brands, and they don't really want, national banks don't want to associate with licensed cannabis operators. And it's
Because at the federal level, it's illegal.
yes, like we're
So that's,
still
that's what it is. Federal banks cannot interact with illegal businesses. So that's why it's mostly credit unions, because they're not federally regulated.
yeah, I mean, and like, listen, like we're taxed like a single mom paying the IRS. Like, it's really like, like the way that cannabis is, and it's so funny. Like now, banks draw a moral line when it comes to cannabis licensed operators. Like, come on, I know about those offshore accounts, national banks. I know what you guys be doing, but now you want to draw the moral line. Now you're like, oh, you know what? We
Right.
don't want to associate with licensed cannabis operators. We want to make it so difficult for you because federally you're not licensed. I mean, honestly, it's such a joke, but that's why we have to work twice as hard to
Mhm.
get half of the noise that a lot of these bigger industries can make. But it's people like us and our passion and collaborating and working together. I think that's one of the most like beneficial things, and the strongest advice I could give anybody is collaboration is key. Work together.
Yeah.
everybody in this industry, we all want to eat. So if we all partner in, we all pitch in, we all do something to just stay loud, stay united, we are going to be a unit. Like, we will be one big unit you cannot tear down. We're
Yeah.
just going to be a block. And that's,
And then it's learning how to scale, right? Like knowing what's necessary to get off the ground. Like all of the flashiness can come when you
I know,
have
and I get lost in the sauce.
no, because it is like
True.
you know what it is that in today's world, it's all about perception, right? People think you're successful, so then people are going to gravitate towards you. If people think you have a successful brand, like no one wants to buy a sad pink, like, you know, like why would I buy you off the shelf? If you know what I'm saying, like, so you kind of have
A
to
flimsy little joint.
that, right? Like there is a part, but there is also a thin line. Like you have to, people skimp on the foundation and you cannot, right? Like you cannot build on a weak foundation, right? There's core pillars that you need to make sure that the business and everything else. So like even in coming for your investors, yes, you can. Even in sorry, even in coming like in your ask for your investors, right? You might need 100,000 to achieve everything you want. But do you need 100,000 right now to get the business up and running? You want to make sure you can do like even like if you're opening up a dispensary, you do not need all of the bells and whistles. People don't give up. If your store has like glow in the dark shelves and you know what I mean, like at the end of the day, they were buying weed from someone who was holding it under his you know what I'm saying? Like you don't know where he was pulling the stash from. So like they were willing to buy it from in a dirty, dingy wherever to So they're not paying for the optics, but you are, right? So be kind of mindful of where you are and the steps that you want to go. And that's why it's important for me. I like to think of like when you start, like what is your end goal? Is the goal to be a multi-state operator? Is your goal to build it up so you can get bought out, right? Like, are you trying to have multiple locations? Because that's what you need to build your role to accomplish, right? Like go from where you want
Work
to end
backwards.
and work backwards and then start planning forward, right? Because you don't want to say, "Oh, I want to be a multi-state operator," and then you set up an operations in New York that's not able to easily scale, right? So you want to start thinking of the software that's going to be able to support you across multiple states, right? So you're not throwing away the money for now. So you kind of think about it like that versus, oh shit, I just scrapped this money on this and now I need to change to this because this doesn't support this, right? You want to know the systems that you're working with, know all of the systems that you're going to need so that you buy systems that talk to each other versus going out and finding out, oh no, this doesn't integrate with Dutchy or whatever POS system you choose, right? Um, and then you want to make sure too that before, like as you're building out your infrastructure, you also want to build out your internal controls, right? Like think about how are you going to prevent people from stealing from you, right? How are you going to stay on top of your collections, right? Like what does that process look like? And you want to document those processes because when you start to bring on employees now, you're not just buying weed, you're now you have to deal with payroll and state compliance with payroll and making sure you have proper workers comp insurance and this kind, like you have to start thinking about all of those things. And so it's better to not have to figure it out as you're getting there, right? Like, I mean, as you're already there, it's better to figure it out as you go there. Have your bank account set up as soon as you start your business. Before you start the business, understand where you're going to get your capital from. Because if you want to get investments and you want to give out equity, you need a corporation, right? An LLC is a membership share. People don't really like to buy into LLCs because it's a pass through. So, regardless of whether they get a cash distribution or not, they are responsible for the tax on their portion of the business, right? Versus a corporation, you only pay taxes on the money that you're distributed to, because it's a separate legal entity in and of itself. So the corporation itself is responsible for paying taxes, right? So you want to know the difference between those before you even start. Identify the benefits of the different entity structures, and also the restrictions and limitations and what that means for you, and how you're going to figure that out. Um, and then understanding too, I think this one is a big one, and it's not an upsell for me, but like, you need an accountant that is well versed in cannabis and cannabis laws and all those things that it means. But it's also understanding that what we do is more than just bookkeeping. So you don't want to just hire. If you're only paying $500 a month for your accounting, I can guarantee you your accounting is wrong, right? Like, you don't even want to see the things that I see when I go under the hood, right? Um, and the cost of that is a lot more than just paying to get it done. The cost of fixing it, or the tax implications that you might face, because like, I'm literally seeing cost of goods, like all inventory getting booked directly to cost of goods sold, right? Like, and that's like the exact opposite of the flow. Like, it's supposed to flow through inventory, and then as you sell your product, your cost of goods sold, it gets allocated into cost of goods sold. So you just need to make sure that you're not being cheap, because people will overspend on marketing to ensure that they're seen. And that's what I mean by building it on that weak foundation. You're being seen, but you're also bleeding out money. So you want to be strategic in how you want to scale, where you want to spend. And in real business, I just want to say, and not real business, that's like an insult to the industry, but in like typical corporate America, um, marketing is the first thing to go. Like, when they start doing those budget cuts because they're not making, the first thing to go is the marketing budget. You understand? Like, not because everything else is essential. Like, and you need to understand that you're not just selling weed anymore. You are trying to run a legitimate corporation, legitimate business that needs to have certain things in place to make sure that it's operating effectively. Like, for example, your AR, right? Because if you are a processor, or like Ali, your brand, Pinks, you're selling, right? And you're selling on net 30 terms,
Yes, net
right?
30, or as I hope.
Right? Like, you're selling. So now you're trusting that um, your revenue is recognized once that sale is made, right? So today is August
Mhm.
13th. You made a sale for $500. You earned $500 today, right? So when you do your accounting, whoop, revenue $500, cost of goods sold for that is XYZ, right? So that's going to also get recorded at the time of that sale. But then on the other end, you're going to have a receivable, because they're not paying you on at the time of sale, right? Most of your clients are net 30.
Yeah,
So now you have
a
the
lot.
risk. You earned the revenue, but here's where the cash flow comes into
Yeah.
play, right? You earned the revenue. You had to pay to make the product before you earn the revenue, and before you collect the revenue. And then there's the risk that they're not going to pay you. You have to trust that they're going to actually pay you. So what is the process around
So,
that? That's you want to set up before, right? Like, those are things you want to think
and
about.
honestly, one thing that I have been doing to avoid any mishaps is I'm offering a COD at a discounted rate. They pay up
Mm-hmm.
front so that when they don't have the, I know work, like a lot of things get hectic for everybody, even retailers just get busy, and sometimes they're like, oh crap, I forgot about that net 30. And one thing that we spoke about on the phone, Judith had some great advice. I'm going to start like reaching out to the people like as soon as as soon as we deliver, just like, hey, just, and if you are ready to pay, here's the information to pay it. And then 2 weeks goes by, hey, just want to remind you this is where to pay it. And then the 30 days come, like remind them before the 30 days. Like, you don't have to wait 30 days to ask somebody to pay you for your goods. And,
Right.
just to kind of like, because also it can just be like life is hectic, and maybe these like retailers, they don't even think, they're like, oh crap, yeah, I do have to pay that bill, and they don't realize it. So, or sometimes maybe they.
And I'm not gonna lie, and you want to know what the other thing is? A lot of them do not have a good accounting team in place. So the invoice never made it into the system. So they really do not know what's due versus what's not due, because they're just like literally like depending on an email reminder that a bill is outstanding. I've seen it. Like invoices aren't even entered into
And
the
that
system.
you're actually right.
So
I've had that happen before, where somebody said, I am so sorry, I didn't even enter it. And I was like, no, 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 it's totally fine. Like, I'm really nice. I'm really flexible. Like, that's what I like. I'm a girly girl, like, and I don't want to,
and you
I
don't
don't
have
have
to
to
be
be
that.
that. I should stop.
That's the whole problem. Like literally, I
That's my problem.
scared to ask people for what I'm owed.
Please don't. If you're scared to ask people what you
It's
want, don't be an
it's
entrepreneur,
two
because they will
extremes
trample
though.
you and you
It's
will run
either
yourself
like
out of it.
I'm like, let it go, and then the other one is like,
Nope.
I'm hounding you down,
Nope.
like I'm gonna
We
show
have to
you.
hire
Nope.
we have to hire those big boss, like maybe a nice like Stanley, a Walter, a Wayne, just like
No, you are a woman. You have yourself. You have your own
true.
mouthpiece. You set up
They
your
start
business.
they
I
start
You
wish
have
talking.
I
been
wish
doing it
that
through
people
construction.
respected me as a woman though. Some people, like, even though I'm a woman, they don't pay me because I'm a woman. I have experienced that, and because of my age, I do experience, like, I feel like there's like a mishap, because they'll pay people that my processor will also process for other brands, and they'll pay the other brands that are male owned. But when it's me, same flour, same product, same everything, they'll give me the runaround. I noticed that, and I kind of feel like it may be. I feel a little hurt by it, because I almost feel like it is like a woman.
But don't allow yourself to be a victim of that. Like, and I'm saying this from my own experience, right? Where like I lead from my heart because I'm an empathetic person, and I believe like everyone, and then I want every business to succeed, right? But the reality is that we all have business expenses, we have our personal expenses, and we're in a business to fund our lifestyle, right? So you have your set of bills, you have your work expenses, and at the end of the day, you didn't give anybody something for free. Like you gave them something that they're supposed to pay you for. So there shouldn't be a feeling bad or a feeling guilty or a feeling like, oh, because I'm a woman, I need a man to collect for me. It's you want to set the tone that, you have one time to not pay me and you cut off delivery. Don't, and then also you don't have to do big orders, right? Like you could build
Yeah.
up
And you
credit
are
as well,
100%
right?
right.
So
Like, I don't want to make it sound like I'm like, oh, I have a man take care of that for me. No, it's that in the world, in the real world, people respect men more, unfortunately. And it sucks, but it's true. Like, I've tried.
you plan for that. You include that
But
in your planning.
that's
That they're
that's
gonna
how I
try
feel
you.
too,
And
though.
so what are we gonna do
Like
to
I'm in
prevent that?
events, so I've been doing
Mhm,
that with men all the time. So you know what I'm saying? I know how
mhm,
to deal with them. It's just, in certain instances where it's like you go more on a corporate level and it's like you're expecting people to be more professional and the things are happening on time. It's
mhm.
like, okay, I can't turn up on you like I do the people in the street, but
Mhm.
I shouldn't have to. Like there should be.
But sexual harassment has been around since the beginning of time, and it's unfortunate, right? Like that's what I'm trying to say. Like being like even myself, like being I think I'm an
Right.
attractive woman,
Like,
right? I
Judith,
present
you were
myself,
down.
right? And so, when you go to certain events and like I've walked off and heard like, oh, that was cute, like, so what, you don't take me as
Right. Like
like that
what
that that was the one that grinded my
It's so
gears.
insulting.
Cute. Like I'm like, I really, but you know what? Those are not people that I would want to
They
exactly.
work with
don't
anyway.
deserve that degree.
They don't deserve
Right.
you
See that degree? I pointed at my Picasso, but I
Right.
think
right. Did you I don't I like, and that's where I'm like, it's starting to recognize who the fuck
Hmm.
you are and standing on that, right? Like you build up the foundation that is unshakable and everybody is not worthy of your
Yeah.
products, right? don't want your products being sold in stores that are not honorable. I mean, we want to make money, but at the end of the day, you're not gonna send thousands of products to someone who's not paying you, right?